Whoo, what's going on? What's going on? All right, people need to slow their rolls down a little bit. People need to relax, calm down. I'm starting to see all these videos where people doing all these predictions when it comes to Sean Porter versus Terrence Crawford. Who's gonna win? What's the amount of pay-per-views? That'll be good pay-per-views and all this other stuff. Yo, everybody needs to slow their rolls. We don't even know if this fight's gonna happen yet. Everybody's just with this big, huge assumption that this bout's like a done deal and it's gonna happen. We don't know what's going on with this fight. We got these people speaking about it. Oh, they're looking at fighting in November. A dual telecast between Fox and ESPN and this and that. This information is all coming out of Bob Arum's mouth, and everybody should know by now that you can't listen to Bob Arum and the things that he says. So people need to calm the hell down when it comes to that. You can't trust anything that pretty much comes out of that man's mouth for the most part, especially when you can't verify. Sometimes he can say certain things and you can verify it. Like when it came to the Wilder versus Fury situation with the ticket sales, people saying, "Oh, they weren't selling well." I was like, no, we were selling well. We were by the end of last month, we were at around 13, 14 million tickets already sold. Which, when you go actually look at the sites and you see what's actually available, it makes sense, because even though 4 weeks had passed since then, and it was substantial, you could tell that they had sold even more than that. You could clearly see that it sold more than that. There weren't that many seats available at all. Until obviously when the bout obviously got canceled. Some people gave their tickets back. Most of the tickets are still, people kept them. Some people gave their tickets back. Most kept them to those tickets. So there's still over 14 million right now. They're still that high, and there's still most tickets are still going for that fight, even though now it's 3 months away. So you could verify that. You could actually go physically look somewhere and see what he was saying was accurate. But when it comes to all this, oh yeah, it's gonna be a good fight. Why is anybody making the assumption that PBC and Fox is gonna do a joint thing with ESPN? Why would they do that if they don't have to? Especially if you're talking about people who didn't want to put any kind of money into the fight, when it came with Terrence Crawford to begin with. Like, why would you do that if you're in a space where you could do a purse bid and have that fight completely all to yourself? Why exactly would you do that? Makes absolutely, it doesn't necessarily make sense. And all of a sudden, he's all hyped up saying this fight's gonna do great pay-per-views. Before that, he was saying that fight wasn't a pay-per-view. He said he would only pay the man only $1 million. He'd only pay Sean Porter $1 million. What's it going to do a fight with him? Because it wasn't, quote, a big fight. It wasn't a pay-per-view bout. Now all of a sudden it's going to, quote, do great pay-per-views. We don't know what's going to happen with this fight. We don't know if this fight's going to happen. We don't know if this is one of those bouts, especially when it comes to Top Rank and the things that have been happening with them. Like when it came to the Teofimo Lopez thing, when it came to the Tyson Fury thing, even if this fight got signed, you don't know if it's going to happen or not. You don't know if it's going to happen at all. Is Crawford all of a sudden going to catch the 19 like all of these other fighters from Top Rank lately in big fights? We don't know. So, I understand people want to be hyped up. This is the first time that Crawford's going to be fighting somebody that's credible in a very, very long time. This is going to be the first time where we're really hyped up for a Terrence Crawford fight, where we don't know who's going to necessarily win that bout. I still favor Crawford, I think. I don't know. I don't know yet. But there's really no point in talking about it until those contracts are signed. Until they say, hey, everything's a go. It's going to be on this date, at this particular venue. Everything is signed. Everything's all set. Until that happens, we don't know. We don't know. And I'm not sure if negotiations would even be able to be, I don't know, because PBC is in a space where they don't necessarily have to give up any kind of major concessions. If things aren't to their liking, they can just go to purse bid. When it comes to 40% that I guess, Sean Porter would be making, that's fine for them. I think they're absolutely okay with that. I think this is about where they'd be willing to put up $10 million for a purse bid and be absolutely happy with it. Be 100% happy with it. I could see them doing something like that. So we have to see. We kind of have to just, see if it gets done. But just due to Top Rank's record, especially recently, and just when it comes to Bob Arum and the way that he consistently lies and tells false information on a consistent basis, we need to calm down. This is the same guy who said that Tyson Fury was fully vaccinated. You know what I'm saying? And there shouldn't be any kind of issue. There wouldn't be an issue like there was with the Teofimo Lopez fight. Then he wanted us to believe that everybody, all these people had caught this thing. And after that, it turns out that none of these people had caught it. And some, they want us to believe that even though the recommendation is 10 days, before you do anything, and you have to, even if you quote test negative, you have to test negative 3 days in a row. Somehow when it came to Tyson Fury, those regulations somehow changed, and the doctors gave him a different regulation, and he was negative in 5 days, so he was cool. Even though it hasn't been that case for anybody else in the entire world, somehow those perimeters were all good and all okay when it came to him. So we got to sit back. We got to kind of sit back and just see if this bout even gets made. And people should be treating it as that. People should be treating it as a bout that might not even happen. Because what happens is when you start talking like this, as if it's a done deal, as if this is definitely something that's quote happening in November, you get the fans all hyped up. You get the fans all excited. Because they're believing in the things that that people are saying. They're believing in the information that's being put out there to them, and they're fans of the sport just like us. And they want to see these guys fight. Like this will be a massive fight. This is huge. I mean, as far as boxing purists are concerned, this is an awesome fight. This is a fight that I'm going to, especially if it happens in November. Especially if some of these investments go through real quick. I definitely will be there in November if it was to happen. But this talk of it, people talking it the way that they are, as if it's already happened, as if everything's already a go. No, we need to chill with that. Just like supposedly Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez, that was a done deal. That's a done deal for September. They're setting the final drafts. Canelo's been offered the biggest purse that he's ever been offered in his entire life. This is basically going to be financially his biggest fight that he's ever had. And I'm thinking to my head, it doesn't really matter because he's turned down big amounts of money before. He's turned down big deals before. And because of the person that he's working with Eddie Hearn, there's certain games that he plays in these type of situations where he'll make it seem as if they want something, and then and then go a different direction. That looks like that's what might be happening with them right now. Where that fight might not happen, where everybody's just been talking as if this was a done deal and this is a fight that was happening. People going about who's going to win, skill wise, who's where, what they can do. And then it turns out it might be all much ado about nothing. People like to say, I guess, might say that, they'll either call me a hater or they'll say I'm negative when it comes to things. But it's not about being a hater. It's definitely not about being negative, but it's about being truthful with the fans. And not just letting, putting out just quote the positive things out there that's going to make them hyped up and smile. But no, let them nah, calm down, dude, because that's probably not going to happen. When it came to Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, it's not going to happen. When it came to Manny Pacquiao versus Terence Crawford, I told you, it's not going to happen. Not only that, I told you that's not going to happen, but don't be shocked if Errol Spence versus Manny Pacquiao happens later on. Regardless if Manny Pacquiao, I thought he might have fought Mikey Garcia, first probably. But I said he's probably going to fight Errol Spence because that would be the biggest payday for him, be his biggest bout. And it's a space where everything's in house. So this is weird too. This is a time where, Terence Crawford's supposed to be either leaving or signing an extension. The WBO just all of a sudden, which is known as what Bob orders, all of a sudden just orders this fight, which is also weird that, Bob Arum would have wanted this to happen. He had to have wanted this to happen, and it might be because he sees that, hey, this guy's leaving, so hey, let me go ahead and, let him get this bout, which I get, because he might leave, because he's also known for doing that, like Ramirez. He made him sign an extension. Then he got that fight against Hooker. Chavez Jr., he made him sign that extension. Then he gave him that fight against Martinez because he was going to sit out and he's going to leave. So this might be a situation where Terence Crawford's moronic tail signs an extension and fights Sean Porter. It could be that. Because hey, look, I promise you this, and I gave you it. So it could be that, but it could be something completely else too. You know, it could be just putting things out there and making it seem as if this is the fight that they want to do. You know, they could just make it seem as if that's the case, and then end up just going into a different route. So they don't necessarily get caught up in all the games. You know, remember history. Remember all the things that have happened. You know, so you don't get caught up when it comes to that. So everybody needs to relax, and let's wait until this bout actually everything gets done. You know, and everything gets signed. If that all happens, then, you know, then we can start talking about, you know, what would be successful in this bout and things of that nature. But until then, like, subscribe, share. I'm out.